morning, listeners. Good morning, Theo. How are you doing on this, the 3rd of December?
22 days to go before.
Oh, wonder somebody's keeping track. I'm glad it's you.
Well, it's different than pray day, paying and praying. The praying part is where we are focusing on today. So good to be
There we
here.
go. There
Good to
we
be
go.
here.
Yep. We are looking at the section in Colossians chapter 4, which is a part 2, continuation of what we talked about yesterday. Because God desires that we leverage every area of our life in terms of usefulness for His purposes so that I can live life to the hilt. We're looking at posture for wisdom. How do I posture in order to seize on the skill sets for living? I need to live on planet Earth. I am heaven for earth, so I can have heaven in my heart, a glimpse of heaven at least in my heart, long before heaven comes down and sets up itself by the power of God, obviously, God Himself setting up His kingdom on the earth. We are also dressed for display in chapter 3, and now bleeding into chapter 4, we are familied for fidelity. So we're going to look at just finishing off this idea of how God leverages our prayer lives and uses it for His honor and for His glory. We used the ballroom illustration, and we said that the ballroom dance, these waltzes are graceful and they are smooth. And there are connections between floor space and music and one's partner and the attire that you wear and the movements that you make and the patterns you follow. And the text is very strongly suggestive of what connections look like, because connections give us affordances of flow. They provide us with possibilities to live out our lives fully, not just in the past, but also in the present, in the moment. And we are answering the question from the text, or the question behind the text: what kinds of connections give us affordances of flow? Well, we started looking at the whole issue of prayer, and we said that prayer, persistent prayer in particular, connects us with opportunities. The problems, the challenges, the difficulties I face in life become opportunities to connect with and see God come through. And so the challenge in verse 2 and verse 3 is to be prayerfully alert, to be attentive, because God is the unseen one. And my prayerful alertness connects me to those opportunities on a daily basis that come at me, that need to be utilized for God's purposes. And then in verse number 4, Paul is very clear on emphasizing that these opportunities, when we make these connections with these opportunities because we are prayerful, uh, we need to be clear about what is happening, what God is doing, and how we need to be clear in our own minds about how to proceed. Theo, you and I have been connecting with a text that we read over many, many years. We've constantly referred to Haddon Robinson's book, Tell It Like It Is. The whole issue of the importance of story, and even to view our faith as a story, an unfolding story that connects with God's story. And it's something which unfolds not only from the past into the present, but also unfolds out into the future. And so to be clear, because people are the ones that we see. God is the unseen one. People are those that we need to be clear with and clear about what we perceive and see God doing in us and through us. And that's why verse 4 says that I, Paul, may make it clear which is how I ought to speak. Make what clear? The mystery of Christ, coming out of verse 3. What is the mystery of Christ? Well, in Christ are hidden the treasure troves. Christ is the thesaurus of wisdom. In him, wisdom reaches its culmination as a person in a personalized, incarnate way. And he lives in me, according to Colossians chapter 1 and verse number 27. So I can be clear about what God is about in his world, that I may speak, that I may make it clear, which is how I ought to speak. And often we aren't given to clarity and thinking things through and thinking about ways in which we can be clear to people. You and I often, Theo, talk about now, what does that principle look like on the ground? Because when you fly at 150,000 feet above sea level, or as many as those translate into kilometers, we're flying at quite a high speed and very fast. But bring that principle, that truth, down to sea level, where the rubber meets the road, where the car hits the tar. And now explain it so that the shopkeeper down the street can understand what you're saying. And that's a great challenge. Be clear, be clear, be clear. We have often said if it's a mist in the pulpit, it's a fog in the pew. And maybe as teachers and as communicators, we need to take just a little more time in thinking how we can clarify these truths, just make them as clear as we possibly can. Now, Paul is going to move into a second connection, because not only does prayerful awareness connect us with opportunities, persistent prayer connects us to opportunities, but skillful relations, skillful relating to people and with people connects us. Skillful relations connect us to people. Watch verse number 5 and verse number 6. Here's the imperative. Walk in wisdom toward outsiders. Walk in wisdom toward those who are outside of the believing family. The idea is to conduct our lives skillfully, that we are navigating skillfully as we relate to them. The idea of walk is being circumspect, putting one foot in front of the other. As we have a direction in our lives, we have a destination in mind, and we are going somewhere. Walk in wisdom toward outsiders. And people really love it when we connect with them as people. You would remember in our this Saturday past, our discussions about switching off our egos, as we were talking in a group on the air about how that when you switch off your ego and you listen to people and you eyeball them, it is amazing how they start to connect with you. Just listen to where they come from, why they are here, and how they came to be here. It's very interesting. We were over at the SASA offices. Now, SASA offices in South Africa are the government agencies that deal with state grants and state pensions and the like. And the lady who was sitting next to us in the queue or even in the line outside of the building was constantly talking. And it is a wonderful way of just getting into her world, because you heard about her family, about her kids, about how that she's alone, and now she has to apply for a pension. Walk in wisdom toward outsiders. Take time for people and with people. The verse goes on to say, making the best use of the time. Now that is so important, because, if it wasn't for the storm on the outside of the ark, and the stench on the inside, we wouldn't kind of know where to put our heads, right? And so we need to make the best of every opportunity that comes our way. How can we maximize those opportunities, those people opportunities? Because there won't be opportunities without human agencies, human agents, people. And then he goes on and he talks about not only are we to relate to people in qualitative ways, but we also need to have parleys. Now, in Pirates of the Caribbean, um, Captain Sparrow says, parlays. Now, a parley is something like a conference, what I would want to call good faith conversations, parleys with people, good faith convos that are non rivalrous. Because many of us are extremely rivalrous as the people of God. We're always getting into arguments about stuff that don't really matter. And then even when it's about stuff that does really matter, we are extremely rivalrous. We switch over into fight mode, not just fawning mode or flirting mode or freezing mode, but we switch over into fight mode. And debates are like that. Debates are extremely rivalrous things. The one that wins the argument is the one who can communicate the best and communicate well. It's not necessarily the one who's right. And so some of us are given to high rivalrous encounters with people. I've often joked over the years about something that I've become quite ashamed of, is that I don't bring water to a fight. I bring petrol. And I think in my early years, I really prized that ability. I could incite people to fight and fight with me. Always up for a good fight. Not necessarily good, but very sort of high conflictual as a personality. Well, to have good faith convos and always being able to turn down the volume, that's a unique ability to develop. Can I turn down the volume so that people could drop their voices and that we can have a sane discussion, a sane, good faith conversation? And that takes great skill. In our marriages, we need to become experts at this. Some of us are extremely weak in this area because just the way we say a thing in a conversation already gets the partner, the hair go up, stand on edge on the backs of their necks because we go into fight mode so quickly. So these are skills within our relationships with our marital partner, in relationships with our children and with our grandchildren. There are great opportunities for cultivating skillful connecting. Keep your voice down. Don't always have the decibels of your voice be off the charts, right? And ring off of the index, the decibel index. Because people are important. And people want to be made to feel important. I see you. We joke about that. Yeah. I see you. I am here. I am present. Look at me. I am an agent with needs. The need to encounter others and encounter people. So connections give us affordances of flow in fidelity to reality. And you see, when you are given to connecting qualitatively with people, using those opportunities, even when you're standing in a long queue in the heat of the morning, because you have to, speak to a government official about a pension or a grant. Watch for those who are around you. There are opportunities lurking right there. Are you flowing in fidelity to reality? Or are you so out of touch and people don't enjoy you. And they will make every effort to, you know, walk past you and not to engage with you because you're so relational. Well, we played a song yesterday morning by Jonathan Butler, which is so apropos because it focuses on the prayer side of things. But also, prayer comes right into our relationships. How are we praying for each other and the encounters that we have? So, Theo, I will hand it back to you at this point.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Lovely practical advice this morning on the fifth connection. Thank you for joining us here. It's been a very, very special morning. I love and appreciated Terry just to focus on how this can be made real, and these opportunities they are in abundance around us. May we be strengthened today to keep looking out for them and find a way to shine.